la. Oh,
People like games.
What's up, folks? It's Reggie with People Like Games. It's back for another episode of Story Mode, where we talk about the history and development of some of our favorite games. This week is all about the soon-to-be resurrected Fable. So let's get into it. Like usual, we'll start with the brains behind the game, and this time it's Peter Molyneux. Molyneux started out in 1982 selling floppy disks with Atari and Commodore games on them. His first game was a business sim known as The Entrepreneur. A young Molyneux had big hopes for the project because he thought, and I quote, "You could literally call a game Space Blob Attacks Mars and sell about 50 million copies." What he didn't realize at the time was that Space Blob sounds ridiculously more fun than a text-based business operation sim. But hey, we've all got to fail sometimes. And by fail, I mean only sell 2 copies of your game, and one of them was probably your mom being supportive. After that massive flop, Molyneux was ready to give up on gaming and started Taurus Impex Limited. What exactly do you do after failing in gaming? Export baked beans to the Middle East, obviously. But gaming wasn't done with Molyneux. In a strange twist, Commodore International confused Molyneux's bean business with Taurus, a networking software producer. When he was sent 10 free Amigas for porting, Molyneux would switch back to the gaming sphere, clear up the confusion with Commodore, and begin his ascent into modern gaming legend. In 1987, he would start his next company, Bullfrog Productions, which he would eventually leave after its acquisition by EA. And finally, we get to Lionhead Studios and their satellite Big Blue Box, where Fable would come to life. I know I just talked a lot about Molyneux, but that's because he's one of the most recognizable names in gaming. Fable, though, came specifically from Big Blue Box's founders, Dean and Simon Carter. While the Carters knew it would be a struggle trying to establish themselves with their first game, Molyneux decided that Lionhead would supplement BBB, so the company could actually focus on making the game. The Carters wanted to build a game unlike other traditional RPGs. One of the key concepts of RPGs is growth. Go ahead and watch our story modes on Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy for some more info on that. But the Carters wanted to take that to the next level. They wanted a game where this growth was felt in all aspects. Your hero would have lasting scars from battle, and the actions you took would have far-reaching implications, not just in your power set. Even NPCs in the environment would be affected by your actions. You'll notice that even games in 2021 struggle to meet these kinds of expectations, and you'll see in a bit where the issue starts to come in. While the idea sounded nice, it was obviously much easier said than done. The game would take around 4 years to complete, which definitely makes sense given the ambitious nature of Molyneux's promises. He often would call it the best game ever, but in the same way he was overhyping himself for The Entrepreneur, so did he overhype fans on Fable, and it was becoming an issue. Molyneux's excitement eventually led to false promises and have ever so slightly soured his public image. While it seems he had great intentions, Molyneux was promising amazing features like having children, knocking down an acorn and watching it slowly grow into a tree, and much, much more. Now remember what I said before. It wasn't until Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2018 that we would see a game that had such long-lasting environmental repercussions. And even then, it didn't span anywhere close to the length of Molyneux's promises. Those, plus some less than flattering headlines and quotables from the man himself, have made Molyneux pretty divisive, all things considered. Is he a visionary whose ideas are just too ahead of their time, or was he No Man's Sky before No Man's Sky? I'll leave that up to you. But just because the man made one too many promises doesn't mean the game was bad. Quite the opposite, actually. Fable was one of the fastest selling games ever on the original Xbox and was noted for everything from combat to its sense of humor, and especially the impact your choices as a player have on your playthrough. While it wasn't all perfect for reviewers, most of the complaints were aimed at the lack of features Molyneux had promised. But I'm not here to drag the man while he's down, so let's move on. After 2 more main series entries and some horrendous side games, the last few years have not looked good for Fable. That is, until June 2020, where it was finally revealed that Fable 4 was in development with a new team behind the helm. It's going to be interesting to see where such a beloved series goes, this time without Molyneux and the Carters, but we'll just have to wait and see, because that's all I've got time for today, folks. Let us know what you're hyped for the new Fable. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll be back next week with another episode of Story Mode. Peace.